All right, today we are going to be discussing the impact of music education. Music has impacted all of us at one point or another pretty much every day. Whether it's on your phone, on your laptop, on your radio, background noise in a restaurant or dining hall, or added background effect for movies or games or TV shows, perhaps. It is there, and whether it has words or whether we understand the words or not doesn't necessarily matter. It's more the tone that impacts us and leaves us with the residing emotions that it conveys. Some people think that music is a way to see into the soul of the musician, the singer, the person playing it, perhaps, and it is a way to form connections, whether it is short term, like you see someone wearing your favorite band's shirt and you say hi, or whether it's something you strongly bond over and it's something that can impact you for the rest of your life. It doesn't even have to be close. You can talk to someone online and you can bond over music, or you can express yourself with people with music. It really does help sometimes because it conveys emotions that you can't necessarily speak about. You can't necessarily explain with your words. It gives you another outlet that words possibly can't sometimes. My history with music is, for the past 8 years, I've been involved in music. Since I was in 6th grade, actually. I started in the elementary school band that starts in 6th grade. And I started playing trumpet, and I've been playing instruments ever since. I can sufficiently play over 12 instruments, and I can proficiently play around 5. And I do know people who are going into music education now. I do know people who are professionally playing in bands for the state, for the Midwest even. People who have toured Europe because of their band opportunities. And people who are making their living now, doing what they love with music. And this impacts all of us because we've all been to these stages with the recorder, the keyboard, and the bells or chimes. Maybe not all three, maybe just one or two. But your elementary school, depending on the resources and funding it had, most likely had at least one of these. It is required in America that you have music education at least until 6th grade, and then it should become optional, I believe. And most of us were like, what the heck, this is a wooden stick or a plastic stick that we play hot cross buns on, and then we put it down and never touch it again. What the heck? Why did we do that? And it's not as easy of a solution. It's not just like, well, because it's fun. It's kind of more complex, and it kind of goes deeper into neurological things, but we're not going to get into all of that. We're going to focus on 3 main things today. We are going to be talking about the similarities between languages and music. We are going to be discussing the funding and how public education, public schools can afford to have music education programs. And we are also going to be discussing the attitude and atmosphere changes in students and music programs in school and out of school. The first thing we're going to be discussing is the fact that music is basically another language. Like, some people can look at sheet music and completely read it. They can understand it. They don't even have to stutter. Like, I can just read this. And most people that aren't involved in band or choir have no idea what this is. People who don't play or read music just see dots on lines and a couple squiggles here and there. But it is literally another language. We have different letters, different correlations, different sounds for each of these different symbols. And it's astonishing because it really is universal. This isn't English. Well, the letters may be written in an American style. However, these, if you ignore the letters, all the sounds, universal completely. It's not one language. It's the language of music. And that is a beautiful thing. A study at Harvard that was written down by Jay Gottlieb in 2019 loved the fact that music is so universal and loved the fact that it's at such easy access. You can go on your phone right now and you can Google drum circles in South Africa. You can Google Middle Eastern music. You can go on YouTube and search for K-pop. K-pop's a fantastic example. Most of us know what BTS is, the most popular, I think, K-pop group. Most of us know who they are. And they are making their way over in America. Most of us don't speak Korean, but we still listen to the music. We still vibe with it. We still understand the emotions that it's conveying. We still get all happy when the happy parts go, and we get emotional when it slows down and gets soft in a lower key, maybe. It is beautiful, the fact that we don't need to understand what they're saying. You can Google translate the words, you can regular translate, you can learn Korean, but it has the same impact in their language, even if we don't understand it, as it would in our language, if we did understand it. And that's just beautiful. Music really is completely universal, and it is its own language. It doesn't need any language barriers, and that can be beautiful sometimes. Another article, 8 Reasons Why Learning Spanish is Like Learning an Instrument, that was written in October 2020. They have proven that there is a correlation between linguists and musicians, and the fact that most people who are bilingual can also play at least one instrument, and they can read music. And it makes sense, really, because if you think about it, the part of the brain that can look at this, instantly comprehend what note, sound, position your mouth should be in, where your vocal cord should be, where your lungs should be, and then play it along with your hands on the instrument, perhaps, is the same part of your brain that can look at a word in like German or French and completely comprehend it and then speak it. It's the same part of your brain that do that. So it makes sense that there's a correlation there. And it really does mean that, like, if you do learn an instrument and if you do learn how to read music, it can perhaps make learning another language simpler or more easy to do, more understandable for you to be able to do that. The next thing we're going to be discussing is the funding. Music boosters all the way. Music boosters are basically fundraising groups of parents and faculty and perhaps older siblings, community members, etc., that all just want to come together for the common goal of raising money so the students and the community members can have a good music education program. The music boosters basically supply all of the funds, or majority of the funds, for music programs, whether that goes towards the travel costs if their band moves around, it can go towards instrument costs, it can go towards repairs, buying new instruments. Some even, like I know at my high school, we personally had music booster scholarships for college, and we also had band camp scholarships, so you could get sent to band camp for a discounted rate because of all the fantastic fundraising that music boosters do. There was one couple, Elpis and Grisa K. They wrote an article about music booster groups in 2019, and they basically said that 3 music booster groups in America, yes, 3 isn't a lot, but they raised over $1 million for their school. There have been 31 that have raised over $500,000, and there have been over 700 that have raised over $100,000 for their school. And yes, it does depend on the community, the median average household income, because if they don't have enough income and they can't supply it buying for the fundraiser, it makes sense. So lower income areas will of course have lower income for their music boosters and for their music education, which is understandable. However, it also does suck because they will be getting a lower music education because of the lack of support and the lack of income in the area. This also can talk about McKinstry, why America needs to continue funding music ed in public schools. He likes to discuss the fact that schools can't necessarily give all their funds to the music program because it's not a measurable skill. It's not like English or math that you can take a test on and get ranked in the state to make the school look good. Bands and choirs aren't numerically ranked like that. So it won't bring the federal grants or the state grants or wherever the money could come from. And it also doesn't bring in the commission that sports teams might. So when a school gets money, they're going to put it towards something that will either pay them back in the long run, like investing in new bleachers for the stadium so they can get tickets paid for, so they can get the commission from that, or they're going to pay for students to get better technology so they can get a better STEM education so they can get more grants from the state. Not necessarily towards the music program. That is why the music boosters are the main source of income for these schools and the music education programs. Lastly, we are going to be discussing the overall atmosphere changes from the school. The main source for this one is Music Ed and Social Emotional Learning from April 2020. They talk about the fact that students are overall happier in school because the endorphins are being released when they're playing the music. Their stress is being relieved. They are transforming into language that is universal. They are becoming the music. They are being a part of a bigger group. They are working together to create art, and that is a fantastic form of socialization for young adults, especially because they may not have a lot else in common aside from the fact that they all love music and they all love producing these beautiful sounds together. It is fantastic for not only the socialization and the endorphins and the stress relief, but it also just helps them feel more at home there. I know for a lot of students, this is a personal encounter, I do know a lot of students that did feel that school was their home. School was their safe space, and that is because of the band. That is because of the music programs they were involved in. The music education really can provide a sense of self for a lot of students, and it does help them because, as I said in the beginning of this speech, it really does help you express yourself in a way that words can't always help you do. So yeah, overall, we looked at the fact that music is a universal language. We looked at the fact that music boosters do most of the funding, and we looked at the fact that it can possibly increase the overall atmosphere and attitude of students when they are involved in the music education program. And music did impact all of us. Back at the beginning, when we saw those instruments, when we saw this is an instant flashback. And it reminds us all that we all were involved in the music. We were all a part of it at one point or another. We all did the stress of learning the new instrument, and hopefully I helped you figure out why we did that, why it benefited us, and why we should continue having education in the school for music, especially in the future for our kids and for the future generations. Thank you.